Call Halal, Wahawa, La Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rahak Wadash, the abundance of the elder apostles, the great millstone will rule well and love towards his knowledge. Honors and salutations to you, fellow laborers that's doing the work of truth and sincerity. Shalom to you and shalom to the few Akwap that believe as well. Now, this is a video. I've been watching a lot of videos on the chariots, and a lot of them coming on my news feed, on my home page, on my YouTube app, and as I watch them and I listen, tune in to what they're saying, it all makes sense that more and more videos that are coming out about the chariots, which the so-called white man Esau, which is his true nationality, he calls them UFOs, but we know them to be the chariots of the Lord, or the chariots of Israel, which are the salvation vehicles of the elect, or for the elect of the nation of Israel, and also they're the force from out of this world. All right, that's how I'm gonna word it. This is the force from out of this world that Esau is afraid of. She's like, I had to grab my water, and that's what Esau is really afraid of, because the chariots are always moving. The chariots are always entering into the atmosphere. All right, leaving and going, appearing and disappearing. And for many decades, many years, Esau have been trying to capture a chariot, and he can't. And try to duplicate the chariots, but he can't. And so this video right here is just telling. And I got a few precepts I want to get. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right, it's edifying to those of you that may watch it, listen, and tune in. So without any further ado, here you go.
Let's bring in both Lauren and Ashley. I want more on the UFO report, unidentified flying objects. These encounters that this report reveals had quite an impact on real...
So off the top, you see they just made, all right, Jeremiah 10, it says, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. All right, that's found in the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, all right, about the second verse. We're not supposed to be dismayed at the signs of heaven. And the chariots are a part of the signs of heaven.
People. Radiation burns, paralysis, brain damage, unaccounted for pregnancies. I'm inclined to ask Lauren to start with, do you believe in UFOs?
Oh, wow.
It had to be the question, didn't it?
I'm going to go with no. Ashley?
Yeah, what do you got, Ashley?
I tend to believe. I just can't believe we're the only ones out there. And the people who are interviewed, we've all seen those late night documentaries, at least I have, on UFOs in Alaska and what have you. But this report comes from a shadowy Pentagon department that was shut down in 2012. And the ailments listed after these experiences, as you say, the most common experience, by the way, is abduction. Then, I love the picture, then radiation burns, paralysis, brain damage, even sexual encounters. There was also a case cited of a commercial airline pilot who saw what he said was a very bright flying disc, and when he got home, he had a very bright red face, and he had that for 4 days, and they believe it was radiation burn. So how do you explain that? And that video on the screen right now, there's this video of like a tiny Tic Tac that's these Navy fighter jets are pursuing, and they just can't keep up with it. I don't know how you explain that, but this report does say that, these encounters appear to be, to the people at least, very real, and that they believe that there is some sort of other...
You see that these heathens are totally dismayed. The one guy, he believed it to be real, but he just don't know how far to go with, especially with the conversation they're having. Excuse me. And they're laughing now, but when Yahweh shall return with the angels, it won't be no laughing. Excuse me. It won't be no laughing, because Yahweh Shai is not coming back in the the manner that you would believe according to the so-called church buildings, because you know people don't know what our Lord Yahweh Shah is coming back to do, but we do. All right. So that's enough of the video. I want to go actually to the book. Let's go to the book of load up Shalaki. All right. I want to go to the book of Matthew chapter 10. Everything's fun and game until Yahweh Shai show up. And when Yahweh Shai show up, then Esau's going to erase that smirk off his face. And then, you know, as in boxing, they say it's, it's fight time. You know, Matthew 10:34, it says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." And this is what our Lord is coming back to do. All right, he's coming back with the angels in the chariots, and they're coming back for war. All right. Remember, the Most High is a man of war, and what he's doing, he's gonna bring Yahweh Shah back to wage war against Esau and the militaries on the earth. Okay, that's when Yahweh Shah is gonna come back with that sword. That's when he's gonna come back. It's not gonna be no peaceful manner. Like Yahweh Shah came and he was healing the Israelites. All right, and of all different sorts of things. All right, from demons, sicknesses. All right, and it wasn't time for him to subdue Esau, but this time he's coming back. Now he's coming back to subdue Esau and the militaries on the earth. All right, along with the angels. All right, let's go from there. Remember, we're talking about the chariots, right? So this is Revelation chapter 1. And verse 7, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so among." Now, the clouds represents the chariots, all right? He's not going to actually come back with clouds. And I always make a reference to this Dragon Ball Z character, Goku, when he riding up on the cloud. No. All right, and remember, a lot of these cartoons and a lot of these superhero or action figure shows, animes, they get them, from the scriptures as far as the ideas. All right, the clouds that Yahweh Shai is going to come back with is going to be those so-called UFOs. All right, that's the way Yahweh Shai is going to return. Just like he left this earth, he's going to return this earth in like manner. All right, let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 1. Excuse me. Acts chapter 1 and verse 9, it says, "And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight." Like I said, he's gonna come the same way he left in a chariot. All right, the cloud represents the chariot, same way that Elijah went up into heaven. All right, by way of a chariot. Verse 10, "And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh Shai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." Meaning what? He's going to come back in this chariot. All right, so you're watching the chariots right now, okay? And you're going to see him come back in like manner. All right? He's not going to come back in the a body that you can destroy. He's going to come back in a body that cannot be destroyed. All right, let's go from there. All right, I want to go to the book of 2 Kings. I believe it's chapter 2. The prophet Elijah, the account of him going up into the chariot. All right. 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11, it says, "And it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven." Meaning what? He went up. He was taken up in the chariot. All right, which Esau say he'll say a flying saucer. Those chariots come in different shapes, man, and they have the different colors that come off of them. All right, amber, gold. All right, it says, verse 12, and Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his clothes and rent them in two pieces. So this is what Elisha seen. He's seen Elijah being taken up, all right, by a chariot, and the horseman represents who? The angels, man. They received Elijah and took him up into heaven. All right, the same thing that happened during the time of the Maccabees, when it was during the time of the Greeks, when they had war with Judas Maccabees, which they were Levites, and they had entered into Jerusalem, and the chariots and the angels appeared in the chariots, above the skies. All right, let's get that. I gotta go to my app to get that, which I got pulled up on Second Maccabees, the 5th chapter. This is how it's gonna look when Yahweh shall come back. All right, not just in Jerusalem or the land of Israel. It's gonna be a phenomenon that's gonna happen all over the skies. All right, worldwide. All right, so you'll understand. This is Second Maccabees, the 5th chapter. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, about the same time Antiochus prepared his second voyage into Egypt, and then it happened that through all the city, for the space almost of 40 days, there were seen horsemen running in the air, in cloth of gold, and armed with lances like a band of soldiers. So how are you going to have horsemen running in the air? It's not talking about literally a man on a horse, or there's a man that's riding upon the horse. First of all, a horse represents power. And the power that the chariots have are not of this world. And the horsemen are the angels. You see? And this is a phenomenon that happened, all right, during the time of the Maccabees. All right. Verse 3, and troops of horsemen in array, encountering and running one against another, with shaking of shields and multitude of pikes, and drawing of swords, and casting of darts, and glittering of golden ornaments, and harnesses of all sorts. Right? Wherefore every man prayed that that apparition might turn to good. Because you know why? When they seen the chariots, you can imagine the moment of awe. All right, that was going through, or on the faces of everyone that stood by and watched. Those Greeks, which are the Edomites, the children of Edom. Idumea is the Greek word. Idumeans, right? But this happened for 40 days. You see? This happened for 40 days. And this is an account of history. You can actually look this up in secular history, which I just read out of the Bible. All right. So, Slacky, let's go from there to Psalms 68. I've been bringing this precept out a lot, because I've been doing videos on the chariots, but hey, this is a thing of repetition, Psalm 68 and 17, it says, the chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. So like I said earlier, or a moment ago, the chariots have the angels in them. All right, they're the horsemen. All right, the Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. All right, so the chariots, they're a part of prophecy, man. Because, like I said, the clouds is a metaphor, all right, for the chariots. This is something that you don't learn in the so-called churches because they don't know. All right, they don't know the scriptures. They err not knowing the scriptures. As far as the Israelites are in those so-called church buildings. All right, they don't teach you the way our Lord is going to come. All right, and the main reason he's coming is to put Esau down, right? It tells you that in the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter. Who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? All right, matter of fact, let me go to that same chapter. I'm going to grab something out of that chapter. All right. Excuse me. This is matter of fact, not the 63rd chapter. I mean, I'm going to go to the book of Isaiah, but the 47th chapter. All right. Isaiah 47:3. It says, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen." That's talking about, the virgin daughter of Babylon, which is America. All right. Everything about this place is being revealed and seen because the eyes of Yahweh Basham Yahushua are upon this place. Okay. This is the main place that the Heavenly Father is going to take out. All right. The Heavenly Father says he's going to, destroy from off the face of the earth. Okay. It says, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and will not meet thee as a man," because he's coming back as a force, all right, in the great power from heaven, all right, which is Yahweh Shai, all right, leading the charge with the angels with the angels, excuse me, excuse me, with the angels, all right, along with him, okay. Now this is excuse me, the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 2. It says, "And I saw and behold a white horse," and the word white just means pure. All right, the horse represents power, so this pure power, right? "And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer," because he's coming back to conquer, all right, all the kings of the earth, all right, starting with Esau on down, because Esau is the top ruling nation. He holds the power seat, or he's in the ruling seat above all the other nations, including us. All right, so Esau is coming to get even. I'm sorry, Esau is I say coming to get even. Slakia, slip of the tongue. Esau is coming to the fight. I think he's going to win the fight, and Yahweh Shai is going to, unleash pure anger and fury upon Esau and destroy him. It tells you that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. Let's get that. 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. It speaks about how Yahweh Shai is going to destroy Esau. I'm going to go down to the point, because you notice in 2nd Maccabees, it was speaking about what the chariots and angels was doing. Basically shooting darts, and it was matter of fact, let's go to it real quick again. I want to get it verbatim, and then we're gonna go back to 2nd Ezra 13. It said that the 2nd Maccabees 5:2. It says, "And then it appeared that through all the city, for the space almost of 40 days, there were seen horsemen running in the air, in cloth of gold, and armed with lances like a band of soldiers, and troops of horsemen in array, encountering and running one against another, with shaking of shields, and multitude of pikes, and drawing of swords, and casting darts, and glittering of golden ornaments, and harness of all sorts." So that's what I wanted to get right there, right? Basically, they're going to be shooting out laser beams, which are concentrated laser beams of fire, and they're going to zap a lot of people, man, including the militaries of the earth. And what they're going to do to the militaries of the earth, right, as far as the angels and the chariots being led by Yahweh Shai, they're going to destroy him with a sword destruction. This is Second Ezra 13, and starting at verse 6. I'm gonna read down a little bit. It says, Second Ezra 13 and 6. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. And it represents the massive chariot that Yahweh Shai is going to return in. All right. Verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there's fight. So when he appeared, all right, when Yahweh Shai appeared with the angels and the chariots, the militaries of the earth are going to look upon them and be afraid. But they're going to yet there's fight, because the Most High is going to put the Spirit on them to fight. Because remember, the Most High is a man of war, and the Most High is in control. All right. The Most High is the puppet master. All right. Remember that. He's going to cause them, all right, to fight by putting the Spirit on them to fight. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there's fight. Verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Meaning what? He's going to shoot laser beams on them. Spiritual powers, man. And laser beams are going to be used by Yahweh Shai and the angels and the chariots, man. It says, verse 11, all they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. See? So this is the sword that Yahweh Shai is going to come back and send upon, or he's going to use that sword, which is, him coming back, all right, in this angelic force, all right, he's going to come back with, with them great spiritual powers that was given him from the Most High, but this time he's going to actually use them, all right, along with using the angels in the chariots, man. And they're gonna be turned into dust and smoke, man. How sort of destruction is going to be. So this is why the conversation about the so-called UFOs, again, they are the chariots of Israel, or the chariots of the Lord. This is why they're always coming up in the conversation more and more as we approach the end of Esau's society. Okay? All right. This is why they're coming up on different mainstream news media outlets. This is why the if they're real or not conversation really is void. People believe that they're real. You know why? Because people believe the government. And by way of so many sightings, the government was forced to admit that they are real. See? Show you how the Lord works. All right. See, the Lord. All right. The Lord is getting ready again to put Esau down. He knows it. The elites of Esau know it. All right. And so do we, as men of the Lord, as followers of Yahweh Shai. And through all Yahweh Shai for giving us his knowledge and understanding. We know that the so-called UFOs are the chariots of the Lord. And we know that they're going to come back and get busy on Esau. And Esau knows that he observed the entering in and out of this atmosphere by way of the satellites, and he know. All right, he know. All right, the scripture says that. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Ezekiel 28:3, it says, "Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee." So Esau knows what's going on. He just didn't want to admit it after so many years, but he was forced to by the Mosai. Remember, the Mosai is exposing Esau for being a liar that he is. He didn't want to admit the chariots were real, even though he calls them UFOs. But now look at what's been going on now in the news for the past, I would say, 4 years or so, almost 5 years. About 4 or 5 years, look what's been going on. I've seen chariots streak across the skies at nighttime. I've seen them ascend. All right. And many of you other Agim out there, you know it to be true as well. All right. Because, hey, the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai have revealed them unto us, man. All right. So blessed are we. All right, and Lord willing, we endure to the end and be saved, because the chariots are going to be the vehicle of salvation for the elect. All right, those are the vehicles of salvation for the elect. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon real quick. I'm going to get ready to close. Excuse me. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5:1, it says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for." You know why? Because the word salvation goes into being delivered or being saved. And the elect is going to be the elect of the nation of Israel, which are the so-called Negroes, Latino, Native American Indians. The elect, which is 12,000 men of each tribe, and then the rest of the 1/3, is going to be beamed up on the chariots, or abducted, abducted by the chariots, so-called UFOs. And that's the strangest of his salvation, meaning who? Jacob, Israel. And everybody else is going to be amazed at how Israelites are going to be beamed up or abducted, all right, or abducted, or abducted into the so-called UFOs. Okay. And this is going to be seen throughout the earth. Okay. So with that, I want to say, Lord willing, this video has been edifying. And on to the next, until next time, Shalom.